Hello and welcome to Gadabout United's preview of the club's 2021-22 campaign, and as always, I'm Adam. So a new season is upon us, and with the Euros it seems like the footy has never stopped, but most of the players have been back at the training ground for some time now, friendlies have been played, and as I prepare for this video, we're gearing up for Leeds at Old Trafford on Saturday. But how are we going to fare? Is this a make or break season for Ollie, and what do the fans expect? Before I start though, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up to like, share and subscribe. I know that sounds a lot, but it's only just a few clicks and it helps the channel grow and reach far more Reds. In order to look forward to next season, let's take a quick look back into last season. Last term Ollie did pretty much what was expected of him, a Champions League spot and more than that a comfortable runners up position. The Doc and Big Ron never managed that, but they did win silverware to be fair, which after the disappointing Europa League final, Ollie is still looking for his first managerial honour at United. Also, we improved on our points tally compared to the season before and scored the most goals across all competitions since Fergie. We were remarkably unbeaten away, and the dressing room, barring the occasional unnecessary tweet from a player's family member or agent, hasn't seen this much harmony since we last took the title. Edinson Cavani was a gamble but a revelation. Shaw showed everyone and especially Jose what he was capable of, and whilst he has far more to offer, Pogba seemed the most comfortable he's been since he joined, albeit he went missing in Gdansk when we really needed him the most. And I don't think I need to mention Bruno, do I? On the opposite side, we struggled defensively on the whole. We were embarrassed in the Champions League, McFred as a combination was way overplayed, and in games we should have gone for the jugular. We were tactically timid and defensive, meaning we often didn't get the crucial 3 points we needed. Tony M was in a strop and out of form, and I didn't get the whole Donny situation. If we want to challenge our peers for silverware in the latter half of the season, these issues and more need to be addressed. Anyway, that was just a brief overview of what we took into the close season and the positives and negatives the boss could take. Moving on to what happened in the close season, and talking of the boss, Ollie was prematurely and generously, in my humble opinion, awarded a new 3-year contract. I say prematurely as he still had a year to go on his current deal, and it's not as if there were a queue of elite, or in fact any clubs vying for his signature. I'm not saying he didn't deserve an extension at some point, but I would have left it till December, after what will be a very tough set of fixtures in October and November. By then we would have probably known if the new signings and the experience he'd gained over the last 2.5 seasons were finally bearing fruit. And I did say generous, as I think the 3-year deal is maybe 1 year too many for someone who still hasn't managed to bag himself a trophy, that albatross around his neck. 2 years plus an option for a third based on targets achieved, i.e. silverware, would have been far more in line with what he deserved. As mentioned earlier, Ollie has stabilised the dressing room. Let's be honest, that is no mean feat at Old Trafford since Sir Alex left. He secured top 4 finishes in his first 2 full seasons, but at the same time couldn't dispatch a Spanish side that had never won a trophy before in its history. Ollie has beaten the best managers home and abroad, but then lost at home last time out to Palace, Arsenal, Spurs, Sheffield United, Leicester, and worse, the embarrassing undressing by Liverpool. So the jury is still out, and I think this season, if he falls short, it needs to come back in with a damning verdict. A big positive so far has been the business done on players. Jayden Sancho at last is a United player, and he's been joined by a quality acquisition who plugs up a gaping hole in the centre of defence. Trophy-laden Rafael Varane. The transfer window is still open till the end of August, so perhaps the rumours surrounding Saul and Neves could turn into more than hearsay and actually become reality. That said, for some reason we've acquired yet another goalkeeper, welcoming back Tom Heaton, which now makes 5 in the official squad. With salaries totalling in excess of £500,000 a week in this position, I'm not sure why we still have Henderson and De Gea on the books. Surely Ollie has to make up his mind and go with one of them, as by themselves they account for their basic salary of £475,000 a week. Yet I've still not seen any rumours of either leaving. Surely the boss can't start the season still not knowing who his number 1 is, and instead rotating them, which was pretty much his plan last season. It surprises me that we haven't offloaded anyone significant yet apart from Sergio Romero. There are a slew of players that don't cut the mustard, or are surplus to requirements that should be sold on. United fans have different ideas about exactly who should depart, but the main names floated around are Fred, Jones, James, Lingard, Martial, Matic and Pereira, but at least one of the 3 centre-backs comprising of Bailly, Lindelof and Tuanzebe is going to be loaned out, that being Tuanzebe to Villa of course, which hopefully will do him the world of good. The only realistic possibility of someone moving on that's been mentioned at all has been Anthony Martial to Inter for 50 million quid, which I think is a little bit of a bargain considering what he's capable of, but even now that's been rubbished as Ollie wants to have a big squad to play with. I just hope that Twanzebe's loan is not the only outward bound Red from the first team squad before the end of the summer. Some Reds have been concerned about the fact that the squad has been rejoined in dribs and drabs by players who'd competed in the Euros and Copa America in the summer, and how it could be a distraction or at least hardly perfect preparation for the new campaign. Whilst there's a point to be made here, it's nothing that our rivals home and abroad won't have had to deal with and shouldn't be an early excuse to defend Ollie. It's a challenge that's been around for decades already. And just a quick word on friendlies. They are meaningless. Meaningless. They are there to build fitness, promote team bonding, and in a non-Covid year, push the United brand worldwide to key markets. So the fact that a number of Reds were already calling for Ollie's head because we lost 4-2 to QPR without most of our first team squad available is clearly irrelevant and shows their mindset. He will never win with them. It's also just as irrelevant that we drew with Stoke, beat Derby and beat Everton. It's great to see the players back again, especially at Old Trafford and when they gel, but winning or losing all your friendlies up to the start of the season doesn't gift you a bonus league point or cup progression or let you miss out to a side that won their friendlies. So moving on to this season, what should Ollie be expected to achieve and what do as we fans, supporters, loyal Reds believe his goal should be? As with most topics of debate nowadays, the subject of Ollie managing United is a polarising one. There's going to always be a decent amount of Reds that will never accept him and will stubbornly dig their heels in, demanding his resignation next May even if he wins the quadruple. Whilst on the other side, there are Reds who will back him to the hilt even if we end up mid-table or worse and crash out prematurely of all cup competitions. So I can only give my point of view of what's expected as I clearly don't have a foot in either camp, and it's based like most targets on what happened previously and how we can realistically progress. I felt that Ollie did mostly what was asked of him last term. Without much money being pumped into the squad, he comfortably got United to a runners-up finish and a cup final, albeit with a disappointing outcome. Instead, if he'd actually scraped fourth and lost to Villarreal, I believe that his position would have been far shakier at the moment. His actual performance last season must have impressed the United hierarchy, as they felt it was good enough to give him a 3-year deal, which shows that the Premier League finish and Europa League run was well within what was expected by them last season. Moving on to 2021-22, Ollie's been at the club for 2.5 years, has had money to spend in the summer, and it looks like it's been spent pretty well so far. Therefore, I'd expect Ollie to challenge this year. We were top in January last season, but we were realistically out of the running by March, let's be honest, and there was no real challenge to speak of. City, Chelsea and Liverpool, it's an old cliche, but they will be stronger. But I believe that the Norwegian will need to be there or thereabouts come April to still have the full backing of most Reds and the board. Also, I think that a decent Champions League knockout stage performance would be expected by most fans, but also silverware. Even domestic cup success, preferably the FA Cup, would be a must. It's going to be 5 years since we won a trophy by the season's end, something that we've not experienced since 1990. What do you think he should be achieving? Let me know in the comments below. Am I spot on or way off? The club's expectations will be similar for Ollie to be at the helm for the 22-23 season, making a bona fide championship challenge, and I'd also like to think a Champions League quarter-final minimum requirement is also expected. Domestic cup success would be a bonus but not a main target, although the FA Cup and a top 4 finish could see him till Christmas 2022. Players-wise, there's always going to be huge expectation on the likes of Pogba, Bruno, Cavani, Rashford and the new signings of course. These players are crucial as to whether this will be a successful or unsuccessful season, so they really will need to perform. As for the rest, once Ollie makes up his mind who will be the number one, I expect the defence to be far more organised and competent when compared to the farcical displays we saw in the first and last couple of months of the previous campaign. And now just a few more individual mentions. Donny really needs to make a breakthrough into the side or he will go next summer, which would be a massive shame. The Dutchman is a graduate from the Ajax Academy and has already declared that he can play anywhere in midfield. So hopefully finally this breaks up the overused McFred combination and will give us more creativity and slickness in the centre of the park. Greenwood, who sensibly snubbed the Euros in order to be fit for the new campaign and to avoid injury, has done everything right to start the season in fine form. Perhaps even share the lone striker duties with Cavani, who will not be fit enough in his mid-30s to play the lion's share of around 60 matches or so. Looking at the fixtures, a good start to the campaign is mandatory, and with these first half a dozen games, it's crucial that we get 15 points or more, hopefully maximum of course. The reason I'm saying this is that when we come to October, we play all the traditional Big Six, plus Leicester over 8 matches. We have a couple of respites with Everton first and then Watford there in the middle. Plus you can say that Spurs and Arsenal are not really in the same bracket as the other Big Six anymore, but they're still significant fixtures nonetheless. Also take into consideration that we'll have Champions League and, to a lesser degree of importance, League Cup commitments at the same time, just to make it that little bit more challenging. We have Liverpool, the Derby and Chelsea away within the span of 5 games, so now you'll understand why we should be going into this match with a nice accrual of points from the first 6 fixtures. Where we are by the time we play Palace at Old Trafford on December the 4th will, for me, be a huge indicator as to whether it will be a good campaign and that the boss will still be in control when I produce this video around this time next year. This grouping of big fixtures around October-November means that December to mid-February should see us go on a very solid run, and I'd like to see us well in the fight for the title before we meet Leeds at Ellen Road on February the 19th, which hails in the second big tough period of games, as we play many of the return matches from the October-November heavyweight clashes. Finally, the run-in for April to May sees us take on Leicester at home, Arsenal away, and Chelsea at home in our penultimate match, so where we will be after we play Liverpool at Anfield on around the 19th of March should be a massive indicator as to where we will finish when the final whistles blow on the 22nd of May. With any review or preview of a United campaign or big match, I want to mainly focus on our side of course, but it would be remiss of me not to have a quick word about our main opposition for honours. I think City will still remain as the side to beat. They just bought Grealish of course with their tainted Middle Eastern money for £100 million, and with a few weeks left before the window closes they could well invest further. A place ahead of them will be our aim. The Scousers will surely be stronger. We enjoyed their defensive collapse last term, even revelled in it. 6 home defeats on that hilarious Anfield white flag run following the 7-2 loss at Villa Park earlier in the season, but they still ended up 3rd. That said, they've barely added to the squad so far. Let's hope it's their undoing. Chelsea, the most unlikely and uninspiring Champions League winners in the history of the competition in all its iterations, have as yet only added a single player to the squad, although Lukaku looks to be nailed on. I'm sure he'll be cheered when he comes back to Old Trafford. I think Chelsea are an enigma. I'm really not sure what we're going to get apart from a top 4 certainty. Leicester are always flattering to deceive. Celebrating their inaugural FA Cup success last May, they haven't qualified for the Champions League since they won the title back in 2015-16. They'll be tough opponents and take points off the title contenders, but we should be looking to claim all 6 off them if we want to be right up there when the winners' medals are being handed out. Arsenal and Spurs are grouped together because they don't deserve to be addressed individually anymore. Arsenal look like a shadow of their former selves on the pitch and in the transfer market, so I don't expect them to cause many decent sides a lot of trouble, whereas Spurs aren't even that well off. Kane is looking to leave and there have only been a few low-key signings. Personally, I'm excited for the new season and with the potentially paradigm-shifting signings, but we need a significant points increase to take the title. If you set aside the strange season last year, United will need 90 plus, even 95 plus points to take the title. So that's another 16 or 20 required. Have we got it in us to do that? Therefore, as I mentioned earlier, Ole needs to be really lion-hearted this time round, to be ruthless and daring, less McFred and more taking the game to sides. We were unbeaten away from home last term, a superb achievement, but City still got more points in their less perfect record of away matches. I expect Old Trafford to be a fortress again with our superb support returning, but converting the majority of our 11 draws from last season into wins will be paramount. I'm optimistic about our chances. I think we can and will challenge this time, especially if we can add Saul or Neves. The more quality we can get in gives the boss the options he needs, something he had few of on the bench against Villarreal. It will be a 3-horse race, I think, between United, Liverpool and City, and Ole, due to the nature of the modern game, won't get many more opportunities to have a go. With the domestic cups, there's a little bit more emphasis on luck than good management a lot of the time, but I like to think that the squad's experience of bowing out in semis and losing a final will push them forward to actually convert one of those opportunities this time around. I also, regardless of the draw, think that we will qualify to the next stage of the Champions League, especially with the new talent that we've got. How far we'll get? Maybe a quarter-final, maybe further. After the quarters, depending on how we've played to get there, all bets are off. So that was my preview of the 2021-22 United season. What did you think? Where do you think I was spot on? And tell me below where I might have missed the mark. And finally, please like, share and subscribe to help the channel grow. As always, thank you for your support.